Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Leo. You should know that because that's the name of the channel. So if you didn't know that, you should subscribe. Today, it's gonna be a fun one. As you can see, we're not on a motorcycle, we're not building stuff. We are sitting at a desk with fun stuff like a helmet and some cameras and a Lego plant in the background. This is. I'm serious. You see that? Bird of paradise. It's a little dusty. Okay, don't judge my cleaning. Just I've been busy. Okay, been busy. Today we're gonna cover why I did the Route 66 trip, how I did it, all my expenses, and how you can also do this. Oh, and I made money on the trip. That's the title of the video. I should say that because it's important, and that's probably why you clicked on it. And it's true. It's not clickbait. I promise you. I have a whole. I have proof, and I will show it to you if you want it. Maybe. Just kidding. I will show it to you. Just gotta ask. Leave a comment or something. Okay. So let's start with why I did it. This is probably the longest part of the whole explanation of this video. So I do want to try to keep it short. So I might be brief on certain things, and if you have questions, you can always ask me in the comments, and I will happily answer your questions. So here we go. So I grew up in Illinois. My family is still there, and now I currently live in LA. So if you're familiar with Route 66, it begins in Chicago and it ends in Santa Monica, California. So for me, for a very long time, it's always been a significant thing, especially in Illinois. If you grew up in the area, you're familiar with seeing Route 66 signs. Not so much here, but for me, again, it was significant, and I felt like it was something I wanted to do for a long time, but nothing I really took seriously until last year. My dad was diagnosed with cancer, so I was doing a lot of flying back and forth to Chicago to spend time with him. After my dad's condition had gotten worse, I went over to help out my mom. And while I was there, I started really thinking about this trip. So part of the driving force behind the trip was my dad. He was the person who taught me how to be adventurous. He taught me how to camp, go fishing, go hunting. So I realized that he had made me this kind of explorer, I guess, or adventurer. This trip just began to have a lot of significance for me at the time, and I really felt like I wanted to do something in honor of him, even if at the time, he really wasn't all there already. He had brain cancer, so it kind of started taking over. So after spending 2 months with my family, I really started considering the fact that I could take the opportunity to just make this trip happen and use it as my ride home. I needed to get back to LA so I could go back to work and make some money, and then hopefully come back again and spend some more time with my dad. So after putting some thought into it and knowing that my dad probably didn't have a lot of time left, I decided that I was gonna do the trip, and I needed to really get the ball rolling because there was a lot of stuff that needed to be planned. All the logistics, the cost. I had a bike in LA that needed to be sold because that was going to be the money that I was going to use to buy the Harley. Doing all the research, finding hotels, even everything just happened so quickly, and that's why there was such a lack of filming. Like I mentioned in the previous video, there was just all of my thought and energy was going into just making sure that I could complete the trip so that I could actually get home. That was the biggest thing. And I was and along the way, hopefully I get to film some of it. And that's what you guys saw in the Route 66 video. All right, let's talk about the logistics of all the planning, how it happened, how I bought the bike. Okay? I had a motorcycle here in LA, and I had my girlfriend sell it for me and send me the money. I did some research for a while, and the best option I found was the 1998 Harley Davidson Sportster 1200 Custom. And it only had 47 or 4,800 miles on it. I'm going to show a picture of the odometer right there. And if you're still looking at me, that means I just didn't figure it out. So I only paid $3,500 for the bike, believe it or not, for the low miles that it had and the very little use. It was a fantastic deal. It had been sitting for a while, so I ended up having to buy a battery. And I guess that's really where we get into the subject of maintenance. I did all fluids, like brake fluid, engine, everything that could possibly be considered maintenance. I did it. I rebuilt the carb. I made sure to flush out the fuel tank. I wanted to avoid any chance of something going wrong on the road because I was limited to how much I could carry. So I had some tools with me As I did the maintenance, I kind of figured out, okay, I'm using these tools and these and these, and I kind of started labeling them. I was using painter's tape, so I could remember what were the tools and sizes that I was using, and then those became the little toolbox for the bike. I also used maybe a gallon of Loctite to make sure nothing was going to come loose, and I'm really glad I did that because everything seemed to work out just fine. So as I did the maintenance, I was also doing all the I guess logistics of hotels, miles that I was going to ride per day, even looking at things like the weather, how much I thought I was going to spend on food, how I was going to deal with water, because starting the trip, you have a certain type of weather, and then as you travel through the Midwest, you're most likely going to encounter rain, and then as you get into the West Coast, like especially Arizona and the border with California, like extreme heat. It was, I think, 100 and something like that. It was hot. Basically, my GoPro stopped working because it was so hot. So I missed the California border sign, which I'm really upset about because obviously that was a big part of the video and it was just not there. And it was most likely because the camera overheated. So I did a whole spreadsheet in Excel of everything I spent on the day, if it was gas, food, or miscellaneous, and the name of the place that I went to. So if you want to see that, it's either going to be like right here, or it might be too big and it might not make sense to put it on the screen. So I might just put a link down there, which also, you know what else is there? The thumbs up. You hit the thumbs up. And then you can also subscribe because that's like right there as well. So like if you're there, you might as well. And then just leave a comment because you're already there. So, all right, thank you. All right, let's move on. So I kind of set a budget of $1,000 for the entire trip, meaning not counting the motorcycle purchase, obviously, right? Because that's $3,500. So that wouldn't make sense, right? It would be the maintenance of the bike plus the cost. So hotels, food, snacks, gasoline, everything like that had to be $1,000. So as I did all the planning, I looked at hotels, I calculated my miles per gallon, and I did all that fun stuff. I thought that I was going to spend around $1,000 on the entire trip. And I felt pretty good about that. And after doing the trip, drum roll please, it came out to $957, which is pretty amazing. I didn't think I was going to be that accurate, but I guess if you take your time and you really put some thought into something, you can do it right. Who knew? Wow. So let's get to the important part, and the reason you probably clicked on the video, and that is to find out how did I make money by doing this trip. And if you're paying attention, you might have already figured it out. I ended up selling the bike. That was the entire purpose of my trip. The entire idea behind it was I'm going to use the money to buy a bike that's worth the investment. I'm going to sell it in Los Angeles. I'm going to hopefully make some money on it and hopefully just break even by covering the trip, and then I can utilize that money that I desperately needed because I wasn't working for 2 months. I sold the bike for $4,600, making my profit $143. So yes, I'm rich. I'm looking for financial advisors at the moment. So if you're familiar with Harley Davidsons and you're familiar with pricing around the country, you would know that in the Midwest you can buy a very cheap Harley Davidson, and then on the West Coast that bike is worth thousands more. I think I definitely could have gotten more money than $4,600 for a low mileage bike. I sold it with like 7,000 miles, and you don't really see a lot of Sportsters with that kind of mileage over here. So if I was patient and if I had more time, I could have made more money. I also sold it in the off season. I know I'm in the West Coast and you can pretty much ride all year, but there is a riding season still, and prices do go down in the winter, and that's when I sold it. So if you're considering doing something like this, it is also good to think about the season that it's going to happen in, obviously for weather reasons, but also because if you're going to sell it, it's better and faster to sell it during the riding season. Now, if you could hold on to the bike during the winter and then wait for the beginning of the season, then you have a good chance of making more money. Also, you don't have to do this kind of thing only on a motorcycle, right? Like, motorcycles are cheap, and I think it's a perfect way if you're going to do a trip by yourself. But I think getting your friends involved and buying a cheap car that's going to just chug along and make a road trip happen for you, I think that's a I think that's a really good idea. If you want, you could also just get 4 friends together and go. Everyone puts money together for like, I don't know, a minivan or a hybrid car, whatever. Clean it up, make it nice, do your road trip. Make sure you do like a full detail, do the basic maintenance on it, make sure everything's working properly, and you could potentially cover the cost of doing a road trip. Just shining up a turd can make you money. And that is my financial advice. Just kidding, that is not financial advice. Please don't listen to me. Doing things like that is awesome for showing people that there are limitations with things that we can do, but there's also so many answers to a lot of these restrictions that we give ourselves when we want to travel or we want to do some crazy spontaneous trip. So like they say, where there's a will, there's definitely a way. So if you guys like the video, don't forget to hit thumbs up. Don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe. If you want to see me do something like that, like maybe like I mentioned, a hybrid car, or maybe you want to like a minivan or another motorcycle or something like that, like let me know. Let me know what you want to see. And if you have more questions about the trip, if you want to know anything, just leave me a comment and I'll be happy to respond. Thanks for watching. Come back next time. I have much gooder videos coming up for sure, and I'm definitely getting better at filming, I think. So if you think I've been getting better, also leave me a comment. I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, bye.